KT Rolster are going to try to close out clean here at the end of the line and earn their spot in the finals against Rox Tigers. Aurelian Sol, first ban coming out from SK Telecom.
Well, this now means that Shen, Vladimir, or Talia is going to be available, so I don't know if that was really the necessary ban here. Remember, they already won a game against Aurelian Sol in this series.
Very true.
But it was with the Malzahar.
Yeah,
So.
which is now banned away by KT. SK Telecom acknowledging that that is going to stay forever banned. And they're going to have still heavy focus on the mid lane as Talia is off the board. So far, the Shen still up, but the Rek'Sai is the second ban from KT.
The question is the Gragas the last ban here from KT Rolster?
I mean, the more mid lane bans I see, the more likely a Zilean is going to crop up on either team. Remember, Faker was certainly in impressive form on Zilean around MSI as well. The mid lane champion pool is getting decimated, and a lot of these pocket picks gone for Fly.
KT taking their time with this last ban, letting the clock run down. It's going to be the Vladimir yet again.
So Shen up for the first time in this series.
Wait, that last ban first, though.
So now the question is Trundle, because if they allow SK Telecom to take the Trundle, they can't really play the Shen into it. So do you ban the Trundle, or do you ban the Gragas?
I think you ban the Trundle.
I think you ban the Trundle, too. I agree.
Too much versatility about it. It's a blocker pick to the top laner you want to take. Let Duke take Shen if he wants it, but the Gragas also, it's not like either of these junglers has been convincing on Gragas today in particular.
Yeah, it's going to be Gragas taken out.
All right.
So the Trundle is available. Should SK Telecom want to snatch that one up for Duke?
I think it'd be a drafting mistake not to take it.
Let's see. SK Telecom, they've been taking their time so far through this draft. Looks like they might just be doing the same.
It looks like it was going to pass out after the Gragas was banned.
Well, he's had some good Hecarim games, to be fair.
That's true. We haven't seen Hecarim prioritized really at all or even flashed in this series.
He hasn't been one in the playoffs.
Yeah, so since 615 came in, we're seeing less of him.
I mean, it does make sense. He is not the biggest effect on lanes in the early stages of the game. Doesn't have that same kind of ganking pressure pre-6. So if in a patch that is very lane reliant, Hecarim may not be the... Wow, this would be a big surprise.
Boy.
Do you have to take Kog'Maw as an answer if you see the Karma first pick?
That's a great question. Do you have to take GP, too?
Shen, Trundle, GP, Kog'Maw, these are all champions that could be taken first rotation. There's no way to box SKT out of power on the red side. A Karma first pick is surprising given the texture of the series.
Yeah, very ambiguous. Not sure if that's going to be for Wolf or Faker. Now KT, they have so many options available to them, but it's hard to pinpoint what is going to be the strongest pickups.
What about Gnar Trundle?
I think you have to take Gnar Trundle here. I agree with you, Papa Smithy. I think that those are the two picks. It will almost certainly result in Duke going for GP if you take the Trundle as
They
a
already
support.
showed they can beat the GP.
Jhin Elise would be different.
I mean, the Elise will be a takeaway you have to think from Blank, who this is really the only other champion that he's been playing as of late. So they will snatch that one up, and the Jhin for Arrow.
If you see Shen Trundle, do you have to, you're just kind of in no man's land when it comes to a pick like the Kog'Maw, I feel, KT Rolster, but I mean, you can't argue with Arrow on the Jhin especially, and it is going to be the Sivir taken, so Sivir Hecarim have always been a pairing, the synergy of the On the Hunt and the Hecarim. You pinch Blank's champion pool, the third seems to be Hecarim, especially with the Elise, I guess, also being one of Blank's most played.
Well, I'm a little bit worried for KT again. If they go for another melee support, that they're just going to get wrecked in the laning phase, and Score is going to have to be the one to bail them out again. It's a lot of pressure on Score. He delivered in the last game, though. They're really just saving this last pick for Fly. Zilean would not be a good pick here. They need damage more than anything else if they're going to lock in the Taric and the Gnar.
But saving last pick for Fly when its champion pool has been so aggressively decimated in the bans. 4 Fly champions banned away. It's very hard to see where he's going to go next. The Victor
is probably Victor.
Is that a 5th pick? Red side pick, though. That's just a champion that's so flexible that why not consider taking it earlier?
The Echo's still up, too. So.
That's true. The Echo is an intriguing one.
Well, we can see the Gnar locked in with the Taric, so they will be going for that melee support. And it's a very swift lock-in on both the Trundle and the Echo, so we'll be seeing Trundle support in the bottom side of the map here for Wolf. And Duke just going to go right back to that and run that into Sunday's Gnar.
Victor is the champion that screams out to us, but Fly has impressed us with his ability to have just a bigger and more polarizing champion pool than any other mid laner. What's he going to go with?
No way. The hover over the gangplank. We have not seen a mid GP in forever. And I mean, you said that you want to see some damage from the side of KT. This would be a plethora of damage, but it would be a hell of a lot of AD damage.
It doesn't matter when you're building that much armor penetration on GP and engine.
Very true.
Lissandra.
It's going to be the lock-in. Lissandra into Faker's Karma in mid lane.
I don't know about this. This is still a very low damage mid-game focused composition from KT. SK Telecom certainly has the advantage when it comes to scaling in nearly every category.
We kind of said the same thing about the third game, though, and they made the Jhin comp work when they needed to. There's a chance. There's windows here before Blank gets Trinity Force and Tanky, where Jhin and Lissandra and Gnar wreck. Remember, even Elise can build
for sure
good mid-game damage, but you're right. 6 items. KT almost can't take a fight with SKT at any turn. Even if you get a pick, you feel like SKT have a 4-man crew that can deal with KT, but they put trust in Arrow's Jhin and they put trust in Score to get them through the early game.
Well, the pressure's on. A lot of eyes going to be on Blank as he moves forward into this 5th and final game versus KT, going back to the Hecarim as his champion pool was pretty pitched out there in the draft. We're going to see if he can get rolling, because if he can start stampeding over top of KT, SK Telecom should find a very swift and simple victory here.
Fly has played a single Lissandra game this season, and it was a win against CJ Entis, so not a large sample size for his Lissandra play. He's going to have to be on point. It's do or die. Faker taking the cleanse this game.
If you're looking to stay safe, of course, you have that Elise and that Frozen Tomb that you have to evade, but let's go ahead, get right into Game 5. KT Rolster try to complete the reverse sweep over SK Telecom. All right, it's going to be a Cloud Drake to start us off for the first time here. No Infernals or Mountains. And woo!
I'm just really surprised. Fly this season is 8-1 on that Victor. And yeah, he got some nerfs, but be a safe mid laner would allow them to scale better.
See, the issue with Victor is that Duke has a gap closer, Hecarim has a gap closer, they have double speed boost, and Victor can be collapsed onto. Score's in trouble here.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and flash out. Be happy to just get that summoner spell down. Might not need it though for the first 5 minutes, but still gonna be a nice little pickup. Now KT on the other side of the map, moving in.
Sneaky.
They're gonna find Wolf. Do they have kill pressure? Hachani's there for the dazzle. No, but it's still a Jhin. And they're just gonna chill out for the long haul.
It's unknown here for SKT.
Wolf wrapping back around the other side. See Flies here with Faker, who moves in. Oh boy.
We got boots, guys. Don't worry. They
you
can't hear.
Yeah, you can hear the tension in the room growing, but with Faker moving back in, just going to take that cue. He'll be all right, but Hachani and Arrow moving back in, going to be looking for Wolf and Bang.
This is so aggressive.
This is how they started in Game 1. They're not going to get the stun on the Bang. He's going to pop the heal just for that move speed. Wolf taking a hell of a lot of damage. Looks like he may just be okay. The Ignite's there from Hachani. If they could actually get that dazzle off, probably would have resulted in a kill, but they're not able to find it.
Significant experience advantage for SKT. Now KT are very much on the back foot.
Johnny gonna walk forward, takes a chomp there from Wolf. Have to be careful. We'll see if Score is able to come down to the bottom lane, get a kill in for Arrow like we saw in that last game, and get this Jhin rolling.
Yeah, but the burden is really on Score now, and he doesn't have a flash to make any early game plays with any longer after that level 1 from SKT, so Bang and Wolf should be cruising here for a little bit.
Characteristic miss there from Faker.
Just given the fact, just coming back to the Victor, just given the fact there's so much gap close and so much speed up, the Lissandra's the more reliable champion, the safer champion, but certainly late game damage, not something Lissandra can provide, at least in comparison to the Victor.
It's just going to be slow and steady so far in this match. But they're going to be again in this matchup here. Back on the Gnar. Opted in for that Doran's Blade start, so looking for a bit of sustain and more damage early on. Tether will connect here from Faker, but he's fine.
Credit where credit's due. Blank has been quite impressive on the Hecarim. He's actually even had games where he's ganked as Hecarim 3-6 and got multiple kills. So some very impressive performances on that Hecarim as they're trying to harass SKT away from this blue buff.
Yeah, score arrives though. Smite just now becoming available.
There's so much secure in at least. It's unlikely that it's going to be stolen.
Yeah, so he will be able to pick that one up.
But still, they split the time there, and when they do that, Arrow's going to lose a few CS as he does have to respond to the blue buff take. It's just every little bit of pressure will help SK Telecom.
Score, Flash, about 3/4 of the way done. So we'll have that one back up soon, probably right as he gets ready to hit that number 5 mark. So should be able to start creating some pressure, especially as Fly will be nearer to 6. So could very well try to make some plays on the finger here, line up those CCs, chain them together well, and come up with that first blood.
It's going to be hard, though. With the cleanse, that's less of an option, at least for them to get the kills in the mid lane. Now, KT, what this is a pick composition. They need to be able to actually use the Lissandra and the teleports with the Dazzle, with the Deadly Flourish, and with the Cocoon to get long-range picks. And KT's shown us they did it in the Samsung series. It was very impressive. But they're not designed here to be taking a win in a team fight, really.
And it's not the same long-range picks that we would have expected from the Rex side, because in terms of long-range damage, they really don't have anything to synergize off the screen with setting up the Deadly Flush. There's no Prey Seeker, there's no Gangplank ult. In general, it's going to have to be the smart playing of phases. You know, if Gnar gets a big initiation, if Lissandra gets a big initiation, sure, we can see the follow-up. But it's not the same incidental pick comp that kind of a Jhin can do almost solo if you have range damage on multiple champions.
Yeah, that's why the TP is going to be extra important for KT. They've got to be able to use the flanks properly to set up the picks in the first place with this composition.
We see the TP, speaking of which, used out there by Fly just to come back into this mid lane. He's looking forward, lockdown Faker, scores on the way, still has the cleanse, he's going to throw out the tether, Wolf now arriving. Johnny's here as well, can't get in range, Faker, he's going to be able to walk it out, make it out safely.
I believe Score's flash actually came out during the time he was entering lane. It's certainly back up now.
Cut it close. Wasn't in a much of a spot to go for that play. Try to flash and get the Cocoon.
Faker has cleanse, so
yeah, exactly.
Does have an easy answer to the Cocoon.
See, Fly is going to be starting things off with the Kindle Gem on this Lissandra. So interesting transition here for that.
Proto Belt hype.
Just going Proto Belt for sure.
He really likes the Proto Belt tonight. I mean, usually we've seen either the Rod of Ages, but probably more prevalently now just the Abyssal Scepter start. Fly gonna go back in, gets the root down with the W score coming through. Jumps in, the Cocoon connects on the Faker with the Frozen Tomb. Oh.
They messed up the CC there.
Yeah,
so they used Cocoon and the Frozen Tomb at the same time, so Faker got a cleanse on both of those abilities at once. So they didn't communicate that well. But they still get 2 summoners out of Faker, and they don't use anything besides an ultimate from Lissandra. So still a win for KT.
Yeah, still profitable, but definitely could have gotten that first blood right there. So just jumping the gun is Fly with that ultimate. Faker going to be able to stick around even and push himself to about 20 CS up over top of this Lissandra. So Fly having some struggles early on, and that gank's not going to alleviate much of the pressure that Faker's putting down.
Just coming back to the Proto Belt itemization choice for Lissandra. Does a couple of things. First, the burst rotation does more damage than you calculate knowing the matchup, which of course Faker knows very well as he comes and interrupts the back from Fly. It also allows you to come from pretty creative angles with Flash and the Proto Belt to get that first pick. You're not as reliant on something as transparent as the Glacial Path when it comes to closing distance. So if Fly's practiced on it, and you have to assume he is, could be some creative picks coming through in the mid game from that Proto Belt Lissandra.
Yeah, I mean, to go to this pick when the Victor was available, something like the Zillion was available, you do have to expect that he's been putting in some work on this Lissandra. I mean, he has come back in popularity in a pretty big way as of late. Mickey, of course, one of the ones who's really been playing that in the mid lane pretty prevalently. Kuzan, of course, always a big pick for him with the Lissandra, but now Fly is showing that his champion pool still is, it's liquid, it's adaptable, you know, he can mold it as necessary.
Big difference this game, though, is that at least from the jungler's perspective, Blank has been doing a good job. He's kept up in farm, and he's got eyes and is creating the pressure to deal with Score. So Score, he needs to make some sort of play happen on this map, because right now they're falling behind in CS, in mid lane and in bottom lane, and that's going to lose them Drake pressure as well. So Fly and Score need to be doing something in the next 5 minutes to actually start to turn this game around, and just like in game number 4, turn a CS deficit into some kills to catch back up.
I mean, as far as recent memory goes, I feel like a lot of the Elises that we've seen as of late have been failing to create as much pressure early on in the game when they really need to.
Unless you're Peanut.
Unless you're Peanut. That's true. Peanut's like the exception to the rule. But like Ambition, somebody brings that pick out from time to time, just not able to find that early success and get that first blood, get a lane rolling. It's really been on the back of champions like the Gragas and the Rek'Sai for a lot of the junglers in LCK as of late. Score though, blue buff coming through.
Stolen.
Wow, nicely done there by Blank. Takes that one away, and that's going to be pretty harmful for the Lissandra, who's going to be starved out of mana in the mid lane. Has to rely on that constant Q and E spam to clear out the waves. As Faker, he's got plenty of mana with that Chalice in the inventory.
Pressure games being won by Blank so far this game. It was 2 games of Blank, 2 games of Score. The Score was very good in the opening stages of game 1. It's not panic stations yet, but the 1-item power spike for SKT with all the shields, Trinity Force Hecarim is going to be such an initiation force that SKT needs to hit their timings them as snugly as possible, and for now they've been pretty muted in the early game.
I mean, you just use that Onslaught of Shadows and jump straight onto Arrow as soon as he opens up the curtain call. He's going to get 2-shot.
Also the Trundle Pillar, but there's no Gragas, so when it comes to ranged initiations, only really the Trundle Pillar to interrupt the curtain.
Wrapping around here. He's looking for a gank on the fly. He's got that Glacial Path ready to go, though, so he'll just juke it out. Not take any of that damage. Score narrowly missing him.
Yeah, they knew what was up when Score actually attempted to repel right there and saw that his Raptors had already been taken.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to come right back down into the lane, and he knew at that point that Blank was probably there setting up for a gank. Indeed he was. Glacial Path thrown out prematurely, and Fly will get out without having to use anything at all.
I mean, something to touch on that we haven't really talked about is this 800 gold lead that's here for SKT. Despite no kills, no structures taken, it's all just been out of the CS. Massive lead for Bang over top of Arrow. Someday he's going to engage on the Duke. Might be looking for the kill. Going to snap back with the ultimate. Slows him up with the boomerang though. Comes back in with the phase dive. Someday going to flash away. He's playing with fire now. TP coming up from Fly. Going to try to get the chase on, but that's going to be Duke able to exit. Over the wall, flashes in, still gets the Frozen Tomb down. Does come up with the first blood. Nicely done by Fly. Didn't think he had it, but he was able to secure it at the end. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Wolf going to get rooted up by Arrow. He has to flash away, throws down the pillar for good measure. Blank and Wolf both getting junked out. A lot of summoner spells used here. Bang with the heal Wolf with both of his to try to make it out alive. Achani answered as well, but KT responding to that pressure in bot. First blood coming up for the Lissandra in the top side of the river.
Yeah, that was the key pick because Fly's 40 CS behind right now, nearly, and he really, really needed that in order to stay relevant in this game. 30, excuse me. But using both summoners leaves him in this position where he's going to continue to get poked out by Faker, and it has to be more. KT couldn't get another kill in the skirmish on the bottom side of the map, and it's only them tying up really in the gold score.
Yeah, I mean, you can see Fly still just getting junked out here, working towards completing that proto belt. Can't be too far off now as he has the Hextech revolver in the inventory.
His item build does nothing for laning phase, so it's not an Abyssal Scepter, it's not a Rod of Ages, not mana regen, it's literally just for picks later in the game, so kind of just at the whim of Faker. He's gone for Athene, so will be a good team fight item for his team, but
Not
also in lane.
A good place to be in, at the whim of Faker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Many people would Definitely hate to be in that position as a mid laner in LCK.
It's going to be on Kuro's tombstone one day.
Yeah.
At the whim of Faker.
Yeah, true enough.
Kuro's like on his deathbed, and Faker's like, you die when I say you die.
Somewhere Ryu nods his head.
Ryu dies every second, man.
I didn't give you permission.
That's the joke about the Ryu dying, is that video has been watched so many times of the Zed versus Zed outplay that every second somewhere in the world Ryu dies.
It's kind of like Teemo, with that Watch Teemo Die stream that we I think used to be on Twitch. I don't know if it still exists.
It's going to be Trinity versus Hecarim, as has been the way in LCK.
Bad surprise. Frozen Mallet completed for someday. So can really hound down Duke, who's still looking for that Trinity Force as a dagger away from the Stinger. Looks like with this recall, he might have the gold to go ahead and complete it. He's going to cancel it out. Keep walking forward, but we'll see if someday is going to go for the Black Cleaver, go straight into that team fight build, maybe get something like that Randuin's Omen. Really slow up Blank as best as he can. Tether coming through from Faker, just going to keep trying to harass out Fly wherever he can. And maintain that lead of 30 CS that he's just had for so long now.
It's so annoying to deal with. There's nothing you can do against with the Lissandra because he can tether you from outside your W range. He's just skirt around the edges, continue to harass Fly, and maintain that 30 CS advantage.
And normally you can just poke through your ranged minions and Q the minion wave, but then you just get a mantra Q that plops onto you, and that's massive burst damage, so just heavily outranged. There's another blue buff contested by Blank.
Blank trying to move into this one. Faker's wrapping around the backside. Looks like the blue buff will go over to score, but now the Onslaught of Shadows comes out and Fly. He's going to take a bunch of damage. Might have to use the Frozen Tomb down onto himself. Current Call coming through, looking for the shots, and Blank's going to be the first one in the fight to go down. Fly does drop the Frozen Tomb onto him. Duke arrives. He's going low. Can't even snap back with the ultimate. He just falls as Hachani finishes him off.
How many is it going to be?
Someday on the chase here for Faker. Wolf running down as the rest of KT tries to get onto him. The boulder will connect, and someday he's going to keep going. Has the ultimate. Gets the wall up onto Faker. He's looking for the kill. Hachani coming around the side. The Dazzle's going to connect, and someday comes up with the basically solo kill, and 3 members of SKT go down off of a blue buff invade.
Well, the pressure was good. SKT, they just needed to deny the blue buff away from the Lissandra. That was the mission success right there. You don't want to fight yet. KT has too many abilities to crowd control you in the narrow corridors of that jungle, and here's where Blank makes a big mistake.
And the timing on the Cosmic Radiance, it's so early, but it's so crucial because Fly doesn't have to self-ult because he can rely on the Cosmic Radiance. They get the pick onto Blank, suicided in for the fight, and then the reset comes through and the health bars are just too damn high for KT Rolster.
And Duke just can't even snap back in time to try to save his life. He just goes down, gets popped. Johnny comes up with the kill, and someday basically with the solo kill,
it's a really
takes
short
down Faker.
cooldown on cleanse, and he decides not to use it. Would he have died anyway? Probably, but regardless, seals his fate. 4 kills to KT Rolster, and for 4 out of 5 games, KT have had this sort of kill lead.
Yeah. And now it's going to be 4-0, 2,000 gold up, 16 minutes into this game. Cloud Drink still not becoming a point of contention for either of these squads. But KT, if they can break this bottom tier 1 tower, would be in a much more advantageous position to try to take that one away. Fly still just going to be dealing with the irksome Faker. Gets killed, still going to be just as annoying. But the Proto Belt is finished. Lost Chapter coming through as well.
Score's walking over Pink Ward, so he's not spotted yet. But can't, yeah, there's a blue Trinket Ward that means that even double pink isn't enough to get Score in unseen.
So can't quite squeeze him down into the bottom lane. But it's all right. He's looking, poking into the jungle, maybe for some vision, maybe trying to find a camp that he can take.
First time this series, Someday has a 2-level lead. It's now just a single, but it's an item lead and CS lead as well. So suddenly, Someday's the one with all the gold, and that's definitely comfort for KT Rolster.
Yeah, for sure. Kuhn not landing on the Blank. Probably would have been a pretty dead Centaur had that connected. Fly was there for the Frozen Tomb follow-up, but just can't get it yet, and this is just going to be back to tiptoeing around for both of these teams.
SK Telecom, they just need to be patient. That was too much. They hadn't hit their power spikes yet. They didn't even have a Trinity Force, only really had a Sheen on the Blank at the time. So calm down, You can win in the late game. Rely on your wave clear right now just to get you into a place where you can force KT to team fight you without KT having a very large gold lead and without them able to take down some of these early turrets. And you didn't get any turrets off that play because the pressure was coming from SK Telecom. But you just need to slow the pace down if you're SKT.
Kind of more concerningly, still haven't found a single Drake. The last 2 wins from KT was with monopolizing Drake early. And so far the Cloud Drake's gone untouched. Yeah, looking for an aggressive roam though.
Good call opened up, trying to get on the Bang.
He's got summoners up.
Yeah, he's got the spell shield as well, so just zoning him away from the tower as best as they can. They'll get a bit of damage in, but they're not going to be able to take this yet.
The next visit will go down, so getting half the HP of outer bot lane turrets, not trivial for just an ult.
Now, Sunday going to be looking to continue this onslaught at the top lane. Duke just going to flash away. Had the ultimate up and everything just didn't want to deal with it.
Because he was slowed, the ult wouldn't have actually repositioned him at all, and then he just gets ulted into a wall and dies. So it was actually a smart, it looked like an early flash, but it was definitely a smart flash from Duke.
Just being very cautious. You can see Sunday still going to be opting in for the Black Cleaver. So he's got the components for that phage in the inventory.
30 CS up, he got kill involvements. You go the snowball build here. No reason not to.
It's also just going to help deal with that Hecarim even more so, which, speaking of which, he's got a phage and a Sheen, still no Stinger in sight for Blank, so having a considerably rougher time in this game.
Faker's a facilitator. He's going to be going Death Cap second. That's the standard build alongside the Athene's Unholy Grail. He's a facilitator for Blank to initiate, and if Blank makes a good decision, they can pick someone, but he's only tanky for the duration of that shield, and then the Black Cleaver, and just a couple of auto attacks or a curtain call, and he's dead. So he's going to be relying on Blank to make smart moves, and so far this game, he's probably 0 for 1, even though contesting blue buff was the initial smart call for SKT.
Johnny waiting to rush, standing on top of a scrying or board. Near that, Score comes forward, gets the cocoon down. That should be the frozen tomb as well. There it is, and that's a dead pony. Even used the onslaught of shadows at the end for the cherry on top. So Blank expending everything, couldn't make it out. KT with the 5th kill on the board. Now finding Faker. Score going to repel away from that added little burst of damage. Gets the cocoon. That's going to be the cleanse coming out. Fly on the way, does have flash available, but can't get into a good enough position to go for that flash W.
And flash proto belt, so Faker had played with Fate a little bit more. That could have been engaged. Some days he's going to casually steal the blue buff.
Why not? You know the Blank's dead, you know where Faker's at, so they'll take that one away. The Cloud Drake still not contested here as we reach 20 minutes.
I feel like the Drakes would be a backup win condition for a team that seems to be outscaled in the late game.
Absolutely. I'm a bit surprised. They certainly had an opportunity there. They prioritized these jungle mobs instead, and it did
still go for it.
Now that is
up a lot of time.
That is, of course, relevant. Denying away safe farm from the Hecarim is going an expensive build. Needs to be considered. Another way is making this Hecarim Trinity Force and tanky at 35 minutes is so much less relevant.
Especially because just as a team and as a player, Blank doesn't get very much of his team's gold. It all goes to Duke, Faker, and Bang. He gets less of his team's gold after 15 minutes than any other jungler in this league. So he does have issues going for high-cost builds compared to more carry-oriented junglers like, say, Peanut, who gets a lot of his team's gold.
And to be clear, 21 minutes for no Trinity Force with no completed Cinder Hulk is very limited.
Yeah. That is a bad look here for Blank, who's not been having a good time on this Hecarim. 0-2, of course, is even in CS, but Score's been making things happen for the last little while here. 2-0-1 on the Elise, having a much stronger performance.
Score has been willing his team over the line. The last game especially was a masterclass of jungling, reminiscent of Kakao at his best. So KT junglers can sometimes get it done in these big matches.
Big collapse coming into the mid lane. Tower's chunked out. Fly does have decent wave clear, but SKT going to be able to move up. Going to try to go for this one. The curtain call opened up as Arrow is just firing off shots, trying to get onto Faker. Last bullet's going to be body blocked by Wolf. Can't find the kill. Fly going really low, doesn't have the frozen tomb available for himself, is able to make it out off the glacial path. And now KT are looking to turn things around. Duke getting slowed up, getting chunked low. One more hit'll do it. Sunday looking for the kills, able to find it, but he's going to go down in turn as Bang finalizes that one. Hajani going low, gets a nice little heal in to buy himself a little bit more time. It looks like he might just fall. The Dazzle connects onto Blank. And now Fly threatening a re-engage with that glacial path. That's going to send SK Telecom backing off. It's going to be a 1-for-1 as both top laners go down. They'll hold on to this tower for a little bit longer.
Yeah, that was a wonderful skirmish, and Hachani saved the day there. Again, the Cosmic Radiance at the last second to help Fly stay alive, give him enough time for that glacial path. So Fly continuing to stick around that team fight, maybe a bit too long. Probably should have recalled and set up for a TP. Let's take a look at it again.
So SKT were in a good position to take the turret. To go for the big initiation. They don't kill Faker. If they killed Faker first, they win this fight outright. We see the Cosmic Radiance. It keeps Fly alive, and we also see Hachani getting the favor return late. So someday just those free hits, he's in Minion Arbor doing so much damage. Watch Hachani. So it's a 1-for-1. It's always going to happen when someday flashed over. We see the Fly. So the heal from Arrow keeps Hachani alive. Just managed to open up space. The Dazzle is clutch onto Blank. Now SKT going 1-for-1 when they started this 0-5 is a good result for them. So overall, SKT slightly ahead.
Yeah, KT not able to obviously push in, trying to take everything off the back of that pick onto
Blank.
But Blank, oh boy, walking straight into it. The Dazzle
he missed the
actually
W.
not going to connect.
A rare deadly flourish missed there from Arrow. He's been incredibly accurate.
As well,
They missed the Dazzle and the deadly flourish, so that was actually really bad by KT.
That was a sure thing kill if one of those abilities hits.
Yeah, but they missed, and Blank says, oh, thank God.
Yeah, nearly walked into death. It was a good setup from KT.
Meanwhile, Bang takes the bottom tier 1 tower, so getting a bit of that global gold back in for SK Telecom. It'll close the gap very slightly. Still down by 3K. But 24 minutes, it's not going to be the worst spot to be in, especially compared to the last 2 games.
Again, look at the builds. Blank just has Trinity Force Smoke Threats. He is super weak, to be clear. So he is only an initiation bot. He's only tanking for the duration of the shields coming through from the now Death Cap Faker. There's still windows that KT can play around, but SKT, they're going to pick up the first Drake very late. There's only going to be just one more spawn, actually.
Yeah, so not going to have a whole lot. It's going to be the Ocean coming in, so nothing too consequential for either side. But the move speed for SKT going to be nice.
Out of position.
Yeah, the killer coming through will repel up. The TP coming in, going to buy some time. He comes back down, takes a big chunk of damage. Now the curtain call opened up for Arrow, and he's got a perfect spot to shoot in. Fly going to have to use the Frozen Tomb onto himself, but Bang goes down as somebody arrives with a boomerang, takes him out. Duke goes into the back line, is able to kill Fly, but KT are just running over SK Telecom. Faker with the shield able to stay alive. Duke has to hightail it down the river. That's going to be the tier 1 going over to KT off the backside of a triple kill.
And KT is committing to these fights with his great, even though Score got caught out.
Faker gets caught, the root comes through, somebody going to jump in. He's got the cleanse still available through it all. Faker stays alive.
Fly actually TPing into the middle of that fight looked bad, but Sunday was faster on the collapse from the top lane, had the flank already going. So it turned into a good engage in a pincer movement from KT.
And the insane thing to me is that Hachani's getting more value out of the Cosmic Radiance than Faker is out of the shield, even though there's a 2.5 second channel time that's clear to both teams, and Faker has big shields on a whim. So the timing here from Hachani has been super on point. As you watch this fight, the TP has to come through or Score is dead and Baron is gone.
We do see Score here. Does go down, but he's able to contribute to this fight.
And Someday can sit in Mininar with Cosmic Radiance applying, just not taking damage, just kill Bang.
Yeah, straight up into the backline. Even though they are able to whittle down Fly after he self-ults, they're just too separated at this point in time. Faker has to retreat under his turret. Duke has to zip away over the wall with the phase dive. And it's still a big, big win there for KT as they expand their gold lead to over 6,000.
Yep, it's going to be all of the tier 1 towers down. Haven't been able to try to break out onto those tier 2s yet, but KT, they are moving towards a game 5 victory and a spot yet again for the umpteenth time in the summer finals.
All right, the story couldn't be better. A reverse sweep here from KT would be such redemption for them. They've been looking for this win against SK Telecom for years now. And are they going to get it? Is Score going to get it after he changed position from AD carry to jungle?
And it would continue that storyline of KT making it to every summer final. Of course, they famously beat.
That was a takeaway.
Yeah, there was a steal from Arrow, very nice, reminiscent of Faker and Bang on Ezreal, but they famously beat the Samsung Blue in the summer final of 2014. They don't want to remember the SKT finals in 2013 and 2015. But what a story, and Who would have tipped KT Rolster versus Rocks Tigers? People that were thinking KT had it. You saw the first 2 games and you're like, okay, it's just the history that's become the norm of SKT coming out of nowhere to take it down. But KT picked themselves up. They looked pretty decimated after game 2, and they showed remarkable character to come back in this way.
Yeah, absolutely. Still putting that pressure on right now. Someday all the way at that tier 2. And the Baron threat, KT, they've got a big lead, but it still has to be more. In the late game, the support Trundle's going to be doing so much work the tankier this Gnar gets.
And Blank still doesn't have Cinderhulk.
Yeah,
He's got the Bomby Cinder, at least. He's halfway there.
he's got the Cinder, just no Hulk.
Yeah.
Working on the Hulk part.
You gotta get those gains. It takes a while.
We never called getting Cinderhulk hulking up as, never mind.
Oh boy, Bang getting rooted down.
Nice
Johnny trying to
interrupt.
stick to him. Yeah, good interrupt with the pillar there from Wolf to buy some time. Score coming in deep though, gets exhausted out by Wolf. Blank getting locked up. The Dazzle not going to connect, but it does.
Someday!
The Trundle, and there comes Someday. Arrow getting a big pop of damage in onto Blank. A double kill coming through as he's able to finish off Bang, and SKT are just running for the hills as KT just swarms over top of them. And they come up with 2 more. Arrow putting some stuff on the board. Someday with the big flank.
Sunday's Gnar this season has
So
been
good.
so good. Just excellent. And he comes up with a huge play right there.
Yeah, this
to
is
take
where I
this
start
game
getting
back.
All right, time to hold your breath, lads.
Yeah, this is where I start getting worried. Fly going to take a little bit of damage here. Duke goes forward. They lock him down with the Frozen Tomb. He's going to snap back with the ultimate. Looks like he might make it out alive. But that's going to be the Baron stopped for KT. Don't want to go back over to that one as Blank is respawning. They'll just back off, spend the gold that they net for themselves.
Do the right move, start the Baron, the enemy jungler's dead, look for a pick, didn't find one, nothing ventured, nothing gained, so. Someday doesn't want to play with fire too much against Faker though.
He could actually probably kill him at this at this HP.
He has some decent vision, so I guess it wasn't too much reckless abandon there as Blank. He's got a Cinderhulk, so he's hulked up, guys.
All right, he finally did it. It took 29 minutes, and he got 2 items, one of them being
Just wait till he gets the chain vest, then he's going to hit real top
Oh,
tier.
man.
Yeah, but nobody has the
That'd be
armor.
brutal.
Except for the Randuin's on the top side, so he gets the Cinder ult, but he's still looking for that survivability. There's, with the Black Cleaver on the Gnar, then now the 3rd armor pen item on the Jhin.
Now focus on Trundle. Trundle interrupting the curtain call saves this fight to a great degree. It could have been much worse. Once again, great timing. Because the thing is that everyone can get in melee range for a Dazzle or Link, and then Someday comes in, monsters Bang, who gets the world's largest shield. Takes a while for him to go down, but Someday's ability to show up in the right spot with a Gnar bar has been just exemplary this season. Nice engage from KT. Doesn't get them Baron, but keeps the pressure on SKT.
It's been exemplary this season. It's been especially so in this series so far in the game.
Scores out of position.
Really far forward. It's
After
going to
all.
flash. That's going to be Cosmic Radiance coming through to try to keep him alive, but there's just no way in hell. Fly can actually go in deep. The repel comes through. KT might be looking to turn this one around.
Outnumbered.
The onslaught of shadows coming through does fear off. Arrow the TP just now coming through from Someday on the backside. Could have a nice flank coming in. Fly blocking down many people, but Someday pops in, doesn't have an R bar, but is still able to finish.
KT turning it around.
That's going to be the turnaround as Blake goes down. Someday looking for more, slowing him up with the frozen mallet. And my God, KT turning a fight around off of a potential pick onto Score.
That is the 2nd time this game that Score has looked dead to rights, out of position, in the wrong place, and it's his team that commits to the TP usage, comes in and manages to save him somehow, and then pick up the kills.
But you can't blame SKT going for releases. They're usually squishy, but look at the build. Randuin's Locket, GA. He's literally just trying to go for a cocoon, offers nothing else. But he's been baiting SKT into over-pursuing, because literally every other release you can think of this season has gone Rylai's in at least 2 to 3 AP items.
Score is playing with fire.
You know what they say about
And
genius and madness, guys? He's playing on the razor's edge this game.
Yeah, it's going back and forth, but luckily he has counseling from the rest of KT. They're keeping him in onto the genius side of things. They're able to pick up that Ocean Drake for themselves, and now KT going to start pressuring out around Baron as they get this full exclusive vision of the river. Scuttlecrab for good measure.
A real power spike for KT is going to be when they get both of their GAs. They've got one right now. Score is going to be getting one, but these engagements, when they actually have the revives, are going to be excellent.
Meanwhile,
they're going to go after the Baron.
They're
2
showing
man.
3 people in the river. Someday has plenty of damage with the Frozen Mallet with that Black Lever. They're going for this
they're
one.
walking up.
And Blake in favor. Faker coming over. Baron's still not that low. Score takes a good chunk of its HP off of that hit.
Nice try.
And they're going to have to back off yet again. But KT trying to experiment with that potential sneak.
They were trying to at least pressure out the teleport from Duke. They don't get it, which is awkward. They lose health on multiple members. Score has to back. Looks like Echo and SKT will get good pressure around the inner bot lane turret, but no more.
Yeah, they also have to send Fly into the bottom side because he's the only one with a TP. So SK Telecom going to find a window to take out the mid lane tier 1. That will help them.
Curtain call opened up though
TP.
on the hunt. Being used, TP coming in straight
Behind.
in the river from Fly. Going to be looking for the big play. Roots down 2 with the W, but he goes low. Has to use the Frozen Tomb on himself, but it doesn't matter
He's
because
so
Meg
low.
is just getting blown open. It doesn't matter about the shield from Faker. He goes down. Wolf, the next target by Someday, is going to be able to limp out of here alive. Something just taking up the tower, but KT with Fly still alive. Going to be looking for a tier 2. Somebody jumps
Looking
forward,
for
gets the
Duke.
wall up on the Duke. They root him down with the Dazzle, with the W. He goes into the back line, tries to get onto Arrow. Fly threatens him out, gets the flash away off of that Ring of Frost, but Someday, he's not done yet. He's got a Guardian Angel. He's ready to go the distance, baby. He's going in on a Faker, chunks him low, but that's going to buy enough time for the tier 2. Can't get the kill in onto the Karma or the Trundle, but KT are just continuously creating advantages and picks throughout this game.
It's scary though because SK Telecom is doing a really good job of playing defense in this game off of these picks, even with the teleport coming through. They still had a bit of trouble with all the Karma shields and the speed. SK Telecom kiting very nicely. So we're waiting here. KT still can't go for the Baron because they just, again, don't get quite enough with just a kill on the Bang and a tier 2 turret.
That's what you worry about. They're getting a pick, but they're not getting the pick, so it's always the minimum of objectives every time. And when you have a Hecarim who's had no items for the whole game, get closer and closer to a Randuin, some of these item builds start to settle for SKT. There still is the question marks about the late game team fighting from KT. Not the ability, but just the tools available to them. So this one's certainly not over till it's over.
Yeah, definitely not out of the woods.
They've got to go for a Baron soon. That's the thing, is that they actually are going to have to commit to going for Baron and then trying to turn onto SKT because they will not be able to do it fast enough, most likely. So they're going to have to turn instead and try and use their crowd control and their gold advantage to actually finish this game.
They have exclusive vision of it yet again Someday. Coming around from the side, doesn't have a Narbar. Going to jump forward. They might be looking for Blank. Root not going to connect, but that's going to be the curtain call coming through. Score going up with the repel. Shots coming in. Duke going to body block that last one. KT just trying to create some pressure, maybe find a pick. But overall, just push SK Telecom back to get a little bit of damage in onto the Hecarim. But now, with this priority vision around the Baron, they can just bait this out and try to go for a pick on the Dazzle.
Waves are in a better spot for KT than they have been previously. SKT have to check, but they have the speed. It's very safe for Trundle to check.
So not starting this. Wolf comes around the side, is able to find
Can
it.
they kill
Someday
Wolf?
he's going to get rooted in. Someday goes forward, gets the wallop down onto the Trundle. Looks like they might just fully commit in onto him. They're going to use the Gnar ultimate
And he picks
and pick
Golden.
him off. And that is going to be a nice opening here for KT Rolster, because that is the Trundle pillar gone.
They also saved the Frozen Tomb, which is really good for them, and also Someday will not be able to be ulted by the Trundle any longer, so he is even harder to kill than he would be in that 5v5. They're going to have to start this Baron. There has to be some sort of commitment.
Be looking for the roots. No damage in on the Blank to really secure that one. Fly
SKT on buying
on
it.
the back. They're going to go ahead and actually start this one up. Score and Hachani are plenty tanky. Cosmic Radiance is available from the Taric Someday, building up that Narbar. They're just buying time. That's going to be the jump in here. Duke getting locked down. He's going to try to sprint out Frozen Tomb down onto him. He still has the ultimate available. He's going to snap back, jumps to the other side of Arrow. Big burst of damage coming through. Looks like he might be able to make it out alive. The Duskblade wasn't enough to finish him off. But a big two-man stun comes through from Someday. They take out Faker. Blank having to use the Onslaught of Shadows defensively to try to get out, but Arrow is there. He lines up the shots. He's going to help find 2 more as Blank and Bang go down, and KT are starting to really run away with this game. They're going to move down to this bottom lane and take out this tier 2.
Look at that minion wave. It's huge.
And they need the inhibitor first before they go for the Baron. This is the right call. They will always have a TP advantage in this game. So as long as they can continually threaten a naked inhibitor, they have a way to win. That's why this is bigger than getting the Baron for them right now. They've got to go for this inhib.
There's no wave clear on SKT. They have to back away.
There's no way they can hold this with just an Echo and a Trundle. The inhibitor tower falls. The inhib is going to follow suit. They still have 12 seconds before Blank and Faker come back up so they can exit safely and reward up. They're going to try to exit through mid, where Someday has been splitting down this tower. It's starting to get a little bit risky now.
3 seconds
but
on
they still
Faker.
should be able to get this safely. Blank comes in. No onslaught of shadows available for him. So SKT looking like they won't be able to answer anything. Someday gonna hop away.
The ult.
That's gonna be the speed up coming through from the Mantra Shield to get on to Score, who's low on mana. Someday trying to turn things back around, dissuade them from coming in. Fly goes in, still has the Frozen Tomb up. Duke jumping forward, gets a big stun into the parallel convergence. Arrow goes low. Stun onto Faker with the Frozen Tomb, and now SK Telecom, they're going to try to fight this one out. The fight's breaking out. A Score and Someday go forward, looking for the Narbar. They get on to Bang. A couple more hits will do it and finish him off.
Dead.
But they're not able to find him. The shields from Faker are just keeping him alive. Duke's going to go down on the backside, but Fly falls as well. Third call, open up. Score still on the front lines, has the Guardian
Wolf's
Angel,
gone.
locks him down. Wolf is going to get popped. Another kill coming through from the Jin, and he's looking for Blank, who has to hightail it out yet again. KT coming up with 2 inhibitors off that push.
And SKT had to fight that. They had to go for it. KT had so much gold in their pockets unspent from that push. So that was their one chance to get back into this game. And even with this huge deficit, you can see the damage that SK Telecom is doing, and KT having a lot of trouble actually winning these team fights.
But they got the double inhibitor now. They managed to weather the storm of the reinitiation. That Sivir and Karma speed wasn't enough to get the picks they needed to take anyone down apart from Lissandra. Those teleporters up, so KT, it's Baron time for them, and it's going to be difficult for SKT to look for anything other than a miracle steal from the Hecker.
Yeah, look at this gold lead that has opened up now, 61,500 to 74.3. KT Rolster. It's been slow and steady as she goes, but the last 10 minutes, this game has blown wide open for them.
It took
massively.
5 games, Achilles. We finally saw Someday's true form when he's the one that gets ahead, when he's the one that gets the gold. 8-1-10, battling people down, Mega Nar, Mini Nar. It's been all about Someday.
Back on the Thorn Mail too, so he's got the ability to really just stick it to Bang in the back line.
That's right, stick it to Bang.
Stick it to Bang. And still going to hover around here. They have teleport available on Duke if they want to actually contest this. So it's not a freebie here for KT. They've got to play conservatively still.
Taking out this last outer turret in the top lane should be pretty trivial though.
Yeah, there's just no way that SKT can really move up to that side with these double waves of super creeps pushing into the base. Duke dealing with the bottom one for now, but that's still just going to be a prevalent threat for the next couple of minutes or so, and the tier 2 will go down here as Someday and Fly split. Well, KT moving down, might be looking for a pick. The Cocoon not going to fly.
Nice pillar.
On to Bang, yeah. They're going to get a amount of damage in on the Score. Still has that Guardian Angel available, but Someday, he's going to start knocking down the tower.
It's going to be
Third call,
initiation
open
here.
up to try to initiate onto him. The pillar comes through to interrupt Arrow, and he has to peel back. Someday trying to build up that Narbar, is exhausted, so won't be able to do so for quite some time. Is taking a good amount of damage, has to hop away. And SKT, they're going to be looking for the turnaround. Onslaught of Shadows has been used. It's not available for any more engage. Fly jumping away with the Glacial Path. Somebody going to split off. The rest of KT, they're wide open. The shield's coming through. The Dazzle will clip onto Duke, but Blank is there to push in Fly. He drops the Frozen Tube down onto himself. Will get a bit of a heal, but he's pretty much dead to rights. Has to use the Zonias.
Someday's pushing Nexus turrets.
Do they want to try to turn this one around? Yeah, KT, they could just try to buy enough time, stop the backs. Looks like the recalls might be coming through from Duke as he's trying to get that one off. Will be interrupted. It's going to use the teleport instead to arrive in time, but Someday might actually be able to at least finish off one of those turrets.
They're going to look for a reinitiate.
Arrow. Yeah, he's pinching back in from the top, but he's not fast enough to get on top of that Trundle or that Hecarim. And looks like the turrets will remain standing. Someday unable to kill it.
Yeah, but KT saved the Baron right there by doing that. They actually forced the TP out. That's huge for them.
Not done either.
Johnny moving forward, gonna be looking for a Dazzle. A nice pillar comes through. Wolf gonna get caught by the W, but it's not there for the root. Blank. A couple more shots taken would have killed him, but Arrow gonna go ahead, opt in for the CD refund and cancel that out. Have to buy time until Fly comes back up in 15 seconds.
Now, KT botched that a little bit. They were putting pressure on the last inhibitor turret before the super minion waves came in. It was a mistake. The Terracol was used too early. SK Telecom tries to capitalize, and you can see they can still turn this game around. It is definitely in the realm of possibility that SKT wins this one, especially since the Baron hasn't been taken. Inhibitors will be coming back up.
When you get 2 inhibitors down, 2 inhibitors on the opposite side of the map from Baron, it may not be academic, but you should be able to force down the Baron. KT haven't. They overstayed. They didn't break the base in the top lane either. So SKT lost the minimum from what should have been pretty straightforward League of Legends for KT.
The recovery was good, though.
Sure.
They bought time for Fly to get back up. Now they have 2 TPs, and they forced Dukes. So they have pressure now with the Gnar, and it's going to be the dance between the TPs.
Well, there's no TP on Echo.
That's right.
Yeah, had to blow that one to get back to the Nexus towers to save him in time. Someday, just splitting down here, should be able to whittle this thing down slowly, yet surely. Goes in for the stun. The rest of KT starting up the Baron. Parallel convergence down, so Someday can pretty safely teleport in.
Zipper ult.
It's going to be on the hunt pop. They try to go in. Cosmic Radiance coming down from Hachani, trying to mitigate as much damage as they can. Bang gets locked up by the Frozen Tomb, has to jump away. They jump straight back onto him, though, and they blow him up, but Fly does go down. That's going to be a big part of the damage of KT, but now Wolf falling in the backside of the fight will be the kill picked up by Score, and Someday is just duking it out with Duke. Almost pops the Guardian Angel, but so far it's a 2-for-1 in favor of KT. They're going to move right back down the mid and maybe try to win off these two picks. They're dead for 40 more seconds.
I've got some time to work with, and there's only going to be one Nexus turret left. This may be KT's ticket to the finals.
Someday try to poke him out, keep him relegated into the fountain as best as they can. Faker pushing forward, get some damage on the Score. Will cleanse off that cocoon immediately. Someday ready to transform.
No Gnar ultimate.
They're going to be looking for this one. It's 20 seconds now on Bang and Wolf. They're going to try to just buy enough time so they can try to turn this one around. Someday jumping forward, the wall up not going to connect. The Nexus Tower still not taking a lot of damage.
Though.
He's going to get pushed back by Blank. Meanwhile, Duke goes in deep, takes a bunch of damage, but is still very healthy and has the Guardian Angel to save him. I don't think KT can stick around. Bang is coming up in 5 seconds. They have to exit the base. They're jumping onto Someday. Duke goes forward, gets locked up. He gets the Guardian Angel pop. Score still sticking around in the front lines, playing with fire as best as he can, but now Bang arrives with Wolf. They're going to try to turn this one around. Arrow going low in the back line, but he's got so much damage that Duke just has to fuel up. Now the curtain call coming through. Bang, one more hit would do it. Can they pop him? It just doesn't look like it, as Duke still is just messing with this shit as best as he can. The repel not able to connect, but Someday's there, has the slows, should be able to take out this Echo in the end, but KT, they cannot finish the game yet. Someday,
that's right.
The style points will kill him with the Gnar ultimate. They break both inhibitors yet again, but KT cannot finish it.
It's the closest 23-6 kill game I have ever seen because SKT scaling, it keeps inching closer and closer. Someday actually continued to tank because he was so close to Gnar ultimate, but he ran out of Gnar bar at the last second. It's like his Mega Gnar rage ended, so went into Mini Gnar with the Gnar ultimate available. They went away, and then you're like, oh man, there's the reinitiation with the Silver Ult that can take him down. Cosmic Radiance came back off cooldown at just the right time.
Absolutely it did. TP coming back in too, as saw the re-entrance into this fight. So Fly,
no one
though,
wanted to die.
I mean, Bang not dying there with just like 100 HP on 2 separate occasions was the difference between a KT win, but Duke is still dead, has his TP though when he comes back up in 10 seconds.
Yeah, but KT, they can burn through this Baron faster than that. Blank is in the area, has the Onslaught of Shadows available as well as the Smite. KT going to be committing to this one, and Fly is still running back.
No vision. It could be a 50-50, but with no vision, I think you have to pull back.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and back off, so KT will finally be able to pick up this Baron 45.5 minutes in.
Ooh, baby. Well, KT has a new lease on life. They messed up their top lane push in the last one, but they have to wait. Patience is the name of the game here. They can push with the super minions. There's one Nexus turret remaining.
Guardian Angel down on Duke, is up on the Hecarim though.
Faker gonna try to wave clear this out as best as he can with the help of Bang. The Baron empowered minions gonna make that very difficult. Guardian Angel still available here for Someday. Score does not have his. It's gonna be very crucial for these upcoming fights.
I mean, they need to fight right now before the super minions come to the base, otherwise SKT are gonna have headaches upon headaches. Remember, they only have one Nexus turret.
Minions crashing in now in mid, top arriving as well shortly. The wave comes in as they're going to be looking to knock down this final inhibitor. Bottom is moving along steadily. Duke, of course, back up here. It's going to be the curtain call opened up, trying to zone them off. Wolf going to take a shot. Chokes him out decently. Blank taking the second. The third goes wide. Bang, barely missing that fourth one. Still had the spell shield up, but it looks like the inhibitor in the end might just fall. W chunking out the Sivir.
Wetting out the Mega Gnar.
They still pushing forward. The Mega Gnar about to be lost. Duke taking a hell of a lot of damage. Still has his ultimate available. Flash almost coming back up, but now KT, they're out of things to do. They can't really get next to that Nexus Tower yet. Have to just buy some time. The Cocoon not going to connect. His Bang spell shields that one off, and KT, they're just tiptoeing around looking for the end. Have to wait for that Gnar bar, which Someday is starting to build back up. Mike, he get a hell of a lot of damage. One more hit from the Gnar actually would have finished him off. The shield comes through from Faker. He's going to go in deep with the Onslaught of Shadows. Doesn't get punished yet. Actually is able to make it out. Duke. Now the Guardian Angel's going to get popped. Snap back from Duke as he's trying to stick into the back line.
They're on the Nexus!
They're on the Nexus, and KT Rolster They're gonna do it. They take down SK Telecom in the reverse sweep, bringing it back 3 games in a row, and they are going to the finals on the 20th to face against the Rocks Tigers.
This is KT's redemption. This is Score's revenge for 3 years ago. The reverse sweep coming back to take out SK Telecom here, and Ryu doesn't have to die anymore.
It might be 3 years ago, Monty, but it's also redemption for 2 years of domination by SKT. Took out KT Rolster so cleanly a year ago in the summer finals. Is this the season for KT Rolster? Because you know what the one thing it is, Monty? We're not going to have SKT as LCK champions this season.
That's right, at KT, their fate is in their own hands for this season. Their fate is in their hands for the World Championship. If they win in a week's time, they will punch their tickets to Worlds, and SK Telecom will be the ones fighting through in the gauntlet. But for now, for summer, SK Telecom's season is over.
What a way to go out. A massive turnaround in game 1, winning the second game quite handedly, and then losing 3 straight for SK Telecom. The struggles still continuing, but my God, KT leveled up in this series.
Well, let's be fair to SKT. They looked way better than we thought
So
they would.
Yes.
That last game was really one for the ages right there. That SK Telecom nearly came back is astonishing. So, impressive stuff. SKT, they may have lost, but they've still got a lot more of this year left. They're pretty much quite nearly guaranteed to hit that World Championship no matter what. And they put up a hell of a fight today.
But man, KT, yet again, in the summer finals. They just got to keep that narrative going. The script has been written, and they're living up to it.
You know how much that means to this team. They were dispatched at the same point of the tournament last season, 3-0 by SKT.
Yeah.
2 games in, I think everyone in the world was like, well, I guess it's the 3-0 SKT again. But the reverse sweep to recreate that moment that led to the Faker versus Ryu battle makes it all the sweeter for KT Rolster.
That's right, Jin. Arrow, just
3 games
putting
in a
in
row.
work.
And someday, 45,000 damage on the dart. He was an absolute monster in that game.
And we have to talk about Hachani too, because it was those Taric ultimates that turned around the first couple of big skirmishes and allowed KT to build up that big gold lead.
The man that always dies did not die on Taric of all champions, the guy who always has to go ham to open up the dazzles. 1-0-20 is about as immaculate as a score as you could ever ask for. And Hachani, maybe he's going to be a 2-time champion.
I mean, we saw that he was the one pioneering the Taric pick back into LCK after the rework.
He's no longer a pioneer, he's a prototype.
And
right
it just goes to show that this man knows how to play Taric better than anybody else.
Not an emotion, not something you see from SKT too often, rolling up their mice, second best in an elimination match.
Yeah, Koma obviously came into the booth, consoled them as best as he could. Looked like Bang took it pretty hard, but you know what? Johnny, 1-0-20, as you said, 91% kill contribution, and just one hell of a game on the Taric. One hell of a series for this guy, coming in on the Tom Kench in the last game. And the Bard before that, just great stuff from him, and now he's going to tie up with Score, and KT are in sole possession of the top 4 MVP playoffs.
Well, they're also the only players with a chance to get more right now.
Yeah.
As we head deeper in, and wow. Well, we'll see what the finals are going to be like. Rocks and KT, both very aggressive teams, both very good at using teleports and globals. And we are fortunate enough to see this Someday Smed matchup one more time.
And that's the thing, is that we have 2 happy teams tonight. It's not just KT Rolster, it's Rocks Tigers, because their kryptonite has been eliminated, and now it's anyone's final.
And I mean, not only just the Smed Someday matchup, but we also get Score versus Peanut.
Yeah.
We get Gorilla versus Hachani, Bray versus Arrow. All of these matchups.
Let's slow down. A featured matchup of the final in 2016 is Gorilla versus Hachani. Yeah, Hachani.
Yeah.
The guy who a year ago was a coach.
Yeah.
He was done. He was on the scrap heap. He was replaced by Fixer and Pickaboo.
Not to mention, but he almost became Energy's coach in the offseason. He was doing trials for them. It didn't look like this guy was going to be coming back as a player ever. He could have gone to NA, and yet here he is in another final.
Well, I think he's probably pretty content with his choice on not being the coach of Energy right now. And now going into a finals, potentially going to become another champion on the 20th. He's got to be feeling pretty damn good, as does all of KT Rolster, staff included. But man, what a hard-fought series. And it all just culminated in this much-desired win by KT. The revenge story has been completed. You could not write an anime better than this right here. All right, we do have an interview with our winners tonight. We're going to throw over to Steven for the translation. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Papa, Kilo, and Monte, for a great cast for today's match. And now we're moving into interview booth with the winner of today's playoffs, KT Rolster. And it's going to be a team interview. And first of all, congratulations for all of you guys. And as a captain, Score, given any comment for today's match? And Score said, first of all, I have nothing to say but to laugh. I'm really happy. And Cloud Temple said, someday you look little bit sad. And then some days said I had some mistakes, but he had a comment that the strongest team is not winning the series. He said that the team who survived from this match will go to final, and he said he did it, and he's really happy with it. And Dongjun said today overall it was very close match. There were a lot of team fight were going on. And then some they said that although we had a difficult in the first and second game, our teammate had a trust on each other, and we have shown up like a perfect performance in the team fight. And some they mentioned about the gangplank play and Nar. And also the coach had a great comment on us, and also the using a turret play was I think the main card for today's, and we're really happy to win today's match. Now Cloud Templar is asking about the jungler's pick for today's. Overall, all the picks and the ban were very important, but he think that Cloud Templar mainly think that asking about the jungler pick. And Score said, as you guys seen in the first and second game, we have practiced using Gragas, but after first and second game, we have talked with coach, and we think that the Gragas is not the right pick for us for today's match. That's why we turned my pick as to the Rek'Sai. So those kind of like strategic change really worked. And Score mentioned that the reason why I picked Rek'Sai because the overall our game were not switching the lane, we fight like the original lane. That's the reason why I picked Rek'Sai to use a ultimate to help it out for each lane. I think that's the main part that what makes the winning of today's match. So that's the reason why I picked Rek'Sai. So now Dongjun's asking, how did you guys prepare overall? And Hachani, you shown a great performance. And then how did you prepare? And how did you guys had only one day after Samsung match. So how did you guys prepare? And Hachani said the overall the pick champions is there's nothing weak or strong, so we're looking for more like combination, and we're more like not aggressive but a little bit like stand back, and we tried to catch the mistake from SKT1 make, and we used some pick like Tarex to go in, so those kind of like play where it really worked out well. So the Cloud Templar asked about the combination and the synergy for today's match about Jin or like Tarek, Tam Kench, those kind of pick. And Hachani said the overall Tarek and Tam Kench is a pretty great pick in this meta. If you go half and half, it will be easy to save Jin, AD carry, and we can work it out in the late game. So that's the reason why I picked those kind of support. And now Dongjun's asking interview to Fly. So the Dongjun said overall the game that if you look at the several game before, if you win against SKT, mostly the mid lane fight was very important. So do you think you did a great job? And then the Fly said the overall it was very difficult, and he still thinks that Faker did a great job. He looks very tired. That's what the Cloud Temper said. You look very tired. And then now the Cloud Temple tried to make interview a little bit far going on and asking about the Echo pick from the third game. So what's the reason that you picked the Echo? And then Fly said he liked the Echo mostly, like these days he liked the Echo pick. So he even starting from the first game, he asked the coach to let me use the Echo, and then he eventually used it in the third game. It's kind of like a very short interview we're going on, but from the Fly. And now Dongjun will try to cover up with saying that he very concentrated a lot. So he's asking about what kind of call were going on during the team fight, and they were like kind of a solo kill. And then Fly said overall the team call were very kind of quiet when I had a bad performance, but overall our teammate helped me out really a lot. So and then Fly said, I had a very difficult time with Faker in the mid lane fight. That's the reason why I go to top lane, bottom lane, and try to make a game more smooth. So I think that really worked out. But overall, I had a really difficult time in the mid lane fight. So now Dongjun said, congratulations, Arrow. So overall, your main pick, we think, is that it's Jin. And Dongjun said that some team is thinking that Jin is not really great pick for new meta. But did you pick Jin as a team combination or as your confidence? So what's the reason? And the Arrow said, I picked Jin from the third game. So I had very struggle with other AD carry champion, but I'm really confident with playing Jin. That's the reason why I asked coach to play Jin, and it really worked out from the third game. That's why I would keep picking Jin, because they didn't also ban the champion. And Cloud Temple asked him, there were a lot of ultimate from Jin because there were like 3 games and you keep shooting like sniper. So are you like tired with it? And then Arrow said that it was hard for me in the over the last 4th and 5th game, because they know like how my styles are going and using ultimate. So it was hard for me to get the other opponent with the curtain call. But it was pretty good for me to use Jin. I think it would really fit to me. Now the Dongjun say any comment, and the Arrow said that maybe my interview were kind of going in the wrong way, so you guys didn't have any expression. And then Dongjun saying that overall you guys are in interview, you guys were kind of confused because it was pretty big, like you guys turned the table around, like you guys winning from the third game. So everyone looked very tired, that's what Dongjun saying. And Dongjun said to any comment for your fans and everyone, score you guys in the final. Now scores with the 2 mic right now. And the score said, I always mention about revenge against SKT1 and I did it. And in the final, there will be much more fun, much more excited than today's match.
It's a tall order.
Damn.
And Dongjun said the next match for the final match will be Rox Tiger versus KT Rolster. And this is end of the interview. And thank you very much. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Steven, for the translation as always. And yeah, I think we're gonna have a more exciting final than we had, semis today. Then my God, my body is ready.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope the finals delivers like this series. That was a hell of a run by KT to bring it all the way back from being down 0-2, and especially Game 2, they lost in 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And they had the fortitude to go on, keep on chugging, and win the series.
Yeah, lost in 25, won in like 33 or something like that in the next game, something in that realm, and then just kept on trucking, playing that very cautious game, slowly progressing forward.
Monty,
and in the end, they were able to
you need
find
to settle
victory.
an argument. Everyone calls you SKT Monty. Can you please fly the correct flag?
That's right, I will. Right here for you guys.
Congratulations to KT Rolster.
Yeah.
Very good job by them. And I mean, they overcame it. You didn't, a lot of people, we all came into this saying, like, yeah, KT probably win given SK Telecom.
No one was thinking that after game 2.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I was going to say. After game 1, you guys were like, SKT maybe 3-0.
Yeah, I thought for sure after game 1, SKT 3-0. I am really astonished that KT managed to make the adaptations, figure out a way to get that Jhin, and make it work by playing around the Gnar. Just wonderful stuff in the draft and adaptations from KT over the series. And I think that if you had asked me, what is the least likely outcome of this series, it would have been
a reverse sweep.
A KT reverse sweep. I would have said that is the smallest probability of happening out of any other result.
But it's also the sweetest.
It is also the most amazing.
Well, it definitely was a damn good night for us. I hope you guys had as much fun watching. We're going to have a bit of a break. We'll see you guys for the final on the 20th. Have a good night. We'll see you then.